So yeah, hello everyone. Just check. Yeah, I hope Daniel, my screen is visible to you. Yeah,
Yeah, I can see it.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's in presentation mode now.
perfect, perfect. So hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in for today's session. My name is Rohan, and I'm the account manager for the European region here at FlightBase. And today, along with me, we have Daniel, who is from the team BF Kiel. They are a professional fire services department from the Kiel city, Germany. And this webinar is where we'll be discussing how BF Kiel is automating life-saving missions across the Baltic Sea. They are primarily performing drone as first responder missions using DJI Dock, and we'll be discussing a bit about how BF Kiel is actually utilizing this solution in order to save lives. So, just to give again a brief about myself as well. So, my name is Rohan. I'm the account manager for the European region. I've been working for the last 3 years with partners, drone service providers, end users across the European region in order to ensure that they get the complete value out of using the flight-based solution for automating their enterprise use cases. And also, they get actionable insights and ROI in order to use such a solution. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I think we have a lot of people joining in from various different parts of the globe. So, just for everyone's awareness, this session might be of approximately 40-45 minutes. And if you guys have any questions, please drop in to the Q&A tab. And just for the clarification, we have Daniel as well, who has joined us from the BF Kyle team. And Daniel is one of the drone program managers who looks after this emergency call center for the professional fire services department for Kyle City. And over to you, Daniel, if you can give a brief introduction about yourself, I think that makes more sense.
Thank you, Rohan. Good afternoon from me too. Yes, like Rohan said, I'm a firefighter in the professional fire department of Kiel. We are located in northern Germany, and Kiel itself has like 250,000 inhabitants. And I'm currently working in the emergency call center. I'm responsible for like 30 people, 30 emergency call dispatches itself, and I've been responsible for the drones at the fire department Kiel since like 2019.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that introduction. That's quite insightful into how long you have been actually been working under the BF Kyle team and ensuring that you are taking this responsibility for doing this drone as first responder program and being a leader in this. So, just for everyone to give a brief agenda of how this session will be. So, there will be three sections, out of which in the first sections, we'll actually discuss a bit on how exactly seconds even decide survival and how can then in the section 2 we'll discuss manual launch to autonomous drone as first responder program, how to even build a drone as first responder program. And of course in the section 3 we'll discuss how autonomous drones are actually like revolutionizing this particular use case, saving lives, beating the clock, providing insights to firefighters, to other rescue teams, etc. So this will be more of like a interactive session wherein we will be actually discussing certain questions with Daniel, and in order to get a gist of how exactly he and team of PF Kyle are actually performing these flights. Also, if you guys have any questions, as mentioned, you can drop all those questions in the Q&A tab, and we'll take up those questions after the end of this particular discussion. So really looking forward to an insightful session, and please stay looped in. So, Daniel, I would like to actually learn more about how exactly BF Kyle even encapsulated this idea that you would like to actually deploy docks on the first hand for, let's say, the drone as first responder program. If you can give a like an overview about the history, what like where did this actually come from? Were you using only drones earlier? Did you face certain problems? And now you are actually trying to get into the automation wherein Dock drone, along with all of the integrations, is actually proving beneficial. So yeah, over to you if you can actually take over with that.
I can try. Well, we started with drones, like I said, in 2019 or like 2020, when basically before COVID happened, and we started with normal drone flights from a normal fire department at an incident stage, and were flying a quite old drone, and I don't want to say the company, but it was quite old. It was flying like 20 minutes and so on, and it wasn't in the air for long, and the distance we could reach wasn't good. And then during the years, we had quite a few calls where we said, okay, we could have had the use of a better drone, or maybe even a drone which would have been there at an incident site faster. Um, we were responsible for, like the headline says, for part of the Baltic Sea, and we always have the problem, when we get an emergency call, we have like 10 to 12 minutes response time, and especially persons being at the risk of drowning in the sea, in the Baltic, don't have those 10 to 12 minutes, especially when we don't exactly know where the persons are. So basically, the question: where is the person at the beach? Is it like 100 meters away, 200 meters? How's the wind? How are the tides, and so on? And then we decided over the years, maybe something autonomous, or like a dock use, which with a fixed drone somewhere in the city would help. And then in 2024, so like last year, actually, we had my the boss of the fire department basically talked with someone. I don't know where they met. It's basically history. They talked about this autonomous drone use with using DJI Docks, and we have a big sailing event in Kiel every year. It's called Kieler Woche, where like 3 million people come over the course of 10 days and party in the city and so on. And we always had a problem with crowd control at this event, because this city is completely congested. The people are not moving in the event area, because some people are standing at a beer stage, or partying because of the music, and so on and so forth. And in 2024, like I said, my boss had a meeting with someone, I don't know, and they said, well, we got a drone, we got a dock. Let's just try it out over one weekend during the Kieler Woche, and test if we have better picture from above, not just boots on the ground, where police officers, firefighters try to get through the crowds and say, okay, it's really congested, and maybe a beer stage it's the fault of beer stage. And so we basically said, okay, we'll put the drone to use, and we tried that in 2024, like I said, over the course of like 2 to 3 days, and had already some good insights. And then it was decided to expand the program to 2025, and yeah, that's how we got to where we are now right now.
That's really insightful, Daniel. And really, I hope everyone who is currently like on a similar, like be it a solution provider who is working with a similar customer, or let's say there's a team who wants to implement such a program, indeed, this would be quite insightful for them to take into consideration. So, Daniel, I actually had a question. So, because currently you are utilizing the Dock drones for one of the use case wherein you are using it for ensuring, you can say, if people are drowning near the seashore, and let's say you want to actually expand this particular use case. However, looking exactly at what kind of data do you think that, okay, this was my first, you can say, use case that I even want to try it out. So what prompted you in order to even do that? If you can just tell a bit about it, and also how are your operations currently going?
Um, so what do you, I'm sorry, what do you mean exactly by the first part of the question?
So the first part of the question was, how are you currently utilizing the dog drones for,
Okay,
saving,
okay.
you can say,
So we are
people by
basically
performing flights in the seashore?
at the seashore because it's November and we are in the northern hemisphere. We don't have any drones stationed at any beach right now because no one wants to go swimming anymore. We are at like 3 degrees Celsius, so no one is in the water at all. Hopefully. Um, and in the summer, we try to station a dog somewhere around one of the main beaches where we got like I said, like a 5 to 10 or even 12-minute response time until any units are at the beach, and then they have to put the boat in the water and so on, and try to find the person at all. And our plan in the summer is to basically use a dock, station it at the beach, and then if there is a call, a 911, 911 call, okay, there's a person in the water, missing, drowning, whatever, or in distress. We try to dispatch a drone on the side with the units as well. The units will always be dispatched, whatever, regardless of the reason. And we just try to be there faster with the drone because the way is shorter, and then to try and fly a grid search pattern and to find the person which is in distress or drowning, at the risk of drowning, and then just pinpoint it for the persons in the boats to rescue those persons.
That's quite interesting, Daniel. So I just wanted to know, Daniel, let's say before using dog drones, when you were only using drones, and if you had to respond to such a situation, of course, currently it's winter, but during the summer days when somebody's drowning, so how long was the response time during that days? And currently with the dog drones, how do you think the response time has actually gotten reduced?
It absolutely depends on something like maybe 10 to 12 minutes, because we have to, first of all, there has to be an emergency call. It still has to be there today, but then the people have to jump on the engines, put on their survivor suits, and the firefighters put on the survivor suits, um, uh, drive to the beach using the fire engines, and then they have to put the boat in the water. So it's like, let's say 10 to 12 minutes until the first boat is in the water, and then they search directly above the surface. So they don't have an eye in the sky. They don't have that perfect angle from a drone, and that's where the response time of the drone really helps. And we are still searching for the best location for the drone for next summer, because we have more than one beach and only got two docks, and want to just put one dock there because the others in the city. And I think the response time will. I hope it can go down to like 5 minutes.
That's quite interesting because, of course, like if somebody is drowning, you have to get an eye in the sky where exactly is that person, and according to what data from the control center you can provide to the on-ground
Yeah,
personnel,
exactly.
that will ensure that the saving is done in a very optimized time. That's quite interesting, Daniel. So, coming up on the, let's say today, apart from so currently you have two docks deployed along these seashore. So how big area are you able to cover with these two docks? Like, is it for the whole city? Is it just
Uh,
near the seashore? So if let's say if I'm doing
we
the
we
drone
can't
versus on the program.
we can't cover the outskirts of the city. Right
Uh-huh.
now, we got one dock more or less in the center of the city, and we due to weather reasons here in northern Germany, we can't fly at ideal conditions. I think DJI says like a 10 kilometers radius. We are trying to work alongside of more or less 8 kilometers. Um,
Mhm,
so and the second dock is right now it's in storage because we're still trying to find the perfect location for the second one. Even
mhm.
for winter, and for next summer we will deploy it somewhere around the beach, or for Kieler Woche, somewhere around the event area to be there as fast as possible.
Mhm. And what are some of the variables that you need to consider? Let's say because of all the varied, you can say, weather etc. that is there. So apart from weather, are there other variables that you have into your program whenever you are dispatching a drone in order to even perform any flight operations? If you can give a gist of it.
The first variable is from where the caller calls, because normally a caller, especially at the beaches, is at the beach, and the person might be 100, 200 meters outside, away from the person calling. So just getting a location from the caller is more or less kind of difficult. And then the caller has to say, okay, you have to look 200 meters to the east of us. And then to pinpoint that location, it's quite difficult. That's the first part where we don't know exactly where to start. We basically can start with more or less a direction, but that's about it. And then we have, like I said, we got weather, like especially wind. There's always a problem in northern Germany. Tides are not so much a part of consideration because the tides are really, really low in northern Germany, not like in France or wherever where they have 12 meters of tides. So we have like half a meter or so. That's not that part of big of a problem, and there are not that many currents normally, but sometimes. So we have to put all of this into consideration before or when starting a search. And the faster we got an eye in the sky or persons on the ground to the location where the call was, the faster we can search and don't have to make the grid even bigger.
That's really interesting. So, Daniel, you mentioned that it's quite difficult in order to even, let's say, because the caller just tells you, please look at right of where I'm currently at, and you may get that location. So, if you can actually provide an overview of how your workflow looks like, maybe you can compare it before, how was it, and how is it today in order to dispatch the drones. Maybe that could be very interesting to understand.
Of course. Basically, it always starts with a 911 call or 112 in Europe, and a person says, okay, there's a person drowning. And they pinpoint more or less their location, and they say, okay, it's like 200 meters, like I said, east from me. And we say, okay, we are going to dispatch units. And like I said, we are already always going to dispatch units anyway, even with a drone or without a drone. The only difference is without a drone, we only dispatch units. We need like 10 to 12 minutes until we are there, put the boat in the water, and start searching. And using the drone, we can more or less automatically start the drone, start the flight, fly to the caller's location or even 200 meters to the left, and then implement a grid search and be there after, like I said, like 3 to 5 minutes, and then have those 5 to 7 minutes before even any units are there, and they can maybe even pinpoint already a person, or they can say, okay, that area has been searched for at least once, and they can start further out. That's probably our benefit we will have from that.
No, that's quite interesting. So, Daniel, one other data point, let's say earlier, whenever there used to be any call, when there were no drones itself into your workflow, it used to take 10 to 12 minutes. And today, with the help of drones, of course, you have an eye in the sky within 4 to 5 minutes. And then even the dispatch team goes to the site within 10 to 12. So I want to actually know, with the help of drones, were you actually able to reduce the number of people who were involved in the operation? So let's say earlier there used to be 10 people in order to search that area, because of course the area was not quite determined. Now that you have a focused area, are you able to optimize it? Like, is it
Uh,
something as well that you're trying to consider in this program?
maybe in the future. We will definitely not reduce any units which are responding in the beginning. Like I said, we are still more or less trying to figure out how to use it best. I think we found it quite a good way, but we have to implement a 24/7 service basically, before we can say, okay, we are reducing units which respond. We have to respond with the same units, because maybe one day we can't even fly because of weather or whatever, and the next day we can respond with a drone too, but we can't say, okay, we are not responding with any persons or any units. We will always, at least let's say for the next 3 to 5 years, I think we will always respond with the same units.
No, that's quite interesting again on that point. Of course, it would be something which can be optimized slowly down the line. Coming up on your operations, Daniel. So, currently, how many team members do you have who are currently observing these alerts? And is it like an automated response or a manual response that you currently have? Of course, considering the EASA rules taken into consideration. So, how is your team currently like, if you can tell a bit about it?
Right now, we got like 6 to 8 trained pilots, which are not there, not always there. It's more or less right now, basically luck if there's a pilot on duty, and we don't have any planned flight operations. Like, okay, we got always get
Mhm,
a pilot on duty. Our plan is to expand those to daytime operations by next year. So
mhm,
probably starting December or January next year, we're going to start training more pilots to have basically a daytime operation awareness, and maybe go to 24/7 operations in like 2027 or 2028 even, because we still have
mhm.
to find we still have to fly a bit more to basically find out, okay, how many trained pilots do we need.
No, that's quite interesting. So, what all are the current features do you actually use with the help of these specialized drones like the DJI Dock 3 and DJI Dock 2?
Right now we're using most of the time go to location, because we can use that from our incident control software. We can basically send the drone via some automation. Location would where it has to go, and not use go to location or whatever. And so we can fly automatically, and we try to implement automatic automated grid search while the drone is in the air. So basically, we respond as fast as possible with the drone, and then while it's in the air, we want to send the drone a new task like a grid search, which it flies, and so we cut the response time to a minimum. And are talking implementing AI features, but we are not there yet.
Mhm. So, in order to even perform a grid search, Daniel, considering that the drone, of course, has a limit till which it can fly. So, and of course, if there's a person drowning, you cannot just try searching the whole area, else the whole response time situation might get lesser. So, how is it that today you have optimized this whole workflow? And how do you foresee that, okay, someday this is how I would like to have this workflow in mind?
Right now, we basically say, okay, we got a pilot on duty. The plan is that the pilot logs in when he starts working at the drone control center, and so he can prepare in the morning when he starts working. Okay, I can prepare the drone, I can check it, does it fly, does everything work as planned. And when there is an emergency call, any dispatcher can say, okay, this might be a call where the drone might be useful. They can automatically select the drone and send the dispatch to the drone too, uh, while still dispatching the units, like I said. And then the pilot, which is on duty, has to go to the drone control stand, and then has to say, okay, I still want to fly, and he still has to acknowledge and launch the drone, because we're in the European Union. We can't fly autonomously. That would be a dream, but the pilot still has to say, okay, please go fly.
Okay, okay. No, that's again something very important, wherein because of the civil aviation rules, currently all the automated alerts that you receive, you cannot take off automatically. You need to manually have a person sitting on the computer and click on a button. But of course, it would be a day wherein, if the YASA allows it, that automation will actually even optimize the existing workflow, which you have brought into 5 minutes. That again, quite interesting.
Yeah.
So, yep. Yeah. So, Daniel, the other question was, let's say tomorrow you have to. So currently you only have two docks, and you are currently using it for this particular use case. But as a professional fire services department or emergency service department, you may of course have some other use cases under the DFR program that you would like to cover. So if you can just help us with what all use cases could possibly be, even that where we can use such a thing.
Right now, we got like two more use cases, which we definitely want to cover shortly. One would be motor vehicle accidents on somewhere in the city. We got a highway right next to one of the dock stations, and it's sometimes callers don't know where they are, basically, and we want to still dispatch units, like I said, but we want to dispatch the drone as well. And then, okay, we get an eye in the sky. Where is the traffic jam? Mostly happening because of the accident, and then we can fly there and say, okay, we have found the accident and we can dispatch the units using the best route. That would be one use case. And the other use case would basically be a fire calls. Someone calls, okay, there's a flat on fire, there's a garden house burning, whatever, and we will dispatch units as well, but we will dispatch the drone as too, and try to figure out as fast as possible if there is a bigger fire than the caller said, or a smaller fire than the caller said, or even how to best reach the fire. We got in Kiel, we got quite a few garden houses in bigger areas, and it's always a pain to find the best way to get from the street to the burning garden house. I've experienced that quite a few times myself, and the plan is to basically say, okay, you have to turn right at the next intersection and left at the second next intersection, and that is the fastest, most efficient way to get to the burning garden house. That is basically two of the use cases we are looking into right now.
That's quite important, wherein you can use the same asset in order to perform multiple use cases. And of course, it can just because again, it's a incident based, you can say response. So you can use the same asset, as I mentioned, for maximizing the ROI. Let's say, Daniel, you have to cover the whole city, and of course, not just the use case wherein you are saving lives across the Baltic Sea, but also other use cases that you mentioned. So, how many docks do you think you will require in order to cover the whole operational area? And also, you can give a gist on how big is the city in itself first.
The city is like 250K inhabitants. And I think we would need around like 3 docks to cover like 98% of the city. I think there will still be like 2 outskirts which we can't cover with 3 docks, but that's the farthest edges of from the city. Normally, one wouldn't say it's even the city anymore because it's like a village. But even for like fire calls, like there's a fire in that part of the city, we can see the fire far before we are there. So we can still dispatch a DJI Dock drone and can still say, okay, there is really a fire, or we don't see anything. You still have to respond, but we can at least say, okay, the fire is bigger than expected. Please dispatch more units.
Interesting. So, Daniel, I just thinking it through. You mentioned during the start of the call that in a year there was an incident wherein during a festival time, a bridge wherein multiple people came and it collapsed. And during those time, of course, there was just the traditional way of how the drone, like no drone as first responder program first in place. People used to respond to it in 12, 15 minutes, a lot of different fire personnel, etc. Today, if such an incident happens, what do you think? Like, just on the basis of minutes, will you be able to save people's lives, or will it actually be where you can save, like, let's say, a number of people's lives just because you have analyzed that situation happening and you have an eye in the sky quite quickly? I hope you got my point. But over to you. What do
Yeah,
you think on
probably. I
this?
think so. I think we could our response time will be faster for sure. Um, Saving people's life, I think so. I think too, because we can be there faster. Like I told you, um, I was at that incident site by accident. Like I was just 200 meters away, but I took like 5 minutes because I had to go through 10,000 people by foot. And the drone was in the air and was responding in like 1 minute because it was 1 kilometer away. I didn't even realize the drone was in the air and it was 1 kilometer away. And the emergency call center had a view of that incident before I was even there, and they could acknowledge that no people were in the water or no people were trapped under that bridge or whatever. So we could basically say, okay, we don't need any responding units at all, just myself, because I wasn't there anyway and by accident. And but no responding fire engines, no ambulance service, whatever. Nothing was needed, and I think that was the perfect use case because we could show we can be there in like a matter of minutes and definitely faster, especially at such big events, than any fire engine or ambulance could be.
I think this is a very good case wherein you have like a footprint for yourself on how you can like use dock drones for all the other use cases as you mentioned for fire safety, etc., where if you have an eye in the sky within 2-3 minutes, of course you can actually determine uh, how big the response team should be. Even do you need to call the ambulances, or can you respond to it just by one team who can take it over? And yeah, criticality, determining the severity of the incident,
Yeah.
getting the whole operational, you can say, criticality is very important in this kind of scenarios. So Daniel, I also wanted to know today, how is your command center set up? Like, is it that you have for each pilot that you mentioned, around 8 to 9 pilots, you have their own systems through which they just stay, as you can say, online in order to ensure whenever an incident comes, they respond? Or is it like a big control room itself? There's just one person sitting. Like, if you can give an overview, how does your
Uh,
control and command
it's
center look like?
it's basically three workplaces. Um, we got like two drones, like I said, or like you said. So we have the possibility, if we have two pilots in on duty, we could fly both drones at the same time. So that's because we got two workplaces for the pilots and one workplace in the middle of those two like pilot stations. Let me say it like that, where we have uh, flight management and something like that. So we look into the sky. Are there any flights happening, like rescue helicopters or just normal planes or whatever might be around, and we look out for those because we are flying BVLOS, obviously, and
Mhm,
so we have to look out for any manned flights or any manned flights, which are always on priority, so we don't have any
mhm,
incidents happening.
mhm. So, Daniel, let's say today there is a public safety authority, or as we have a lot of people joining in as a solution provider, they are working with the public safety authority who they would like to consult in order to plan a whole drone as first responder program in their country. So, what all are the tools that you actually use like today? Like, let's say, just giving an example, let's DJI Dock. So DJI Dock number one and a drone. Apart from it, maybe you may have certain other systems, as you mentioned, for airspace awareness. So if you can just like broadly classify all these tools that you use today, and if you can also tell the names of what all are these tools like from
Um,
or of.
yeah, like I said, we're using DJI Dock 2s. Maybe if we get a third dock, we get a DJI Dock 3, I think. We are using just basic German weather service just for weather forecast. We are using like two airspace awareness sites because we have a favor. I like being redundant.
Mhm.
Actually,
And
it's a
are these
firefighter thing.
detect and avoid sensors? or is this a
Uh,
UTM service that you are using?
it's a UTM service. It's like
Okay.
what's called Safe Sky,
Mhm,
and the other is Tracks by Dronic.
mhm. And apart from this, like on the public safety end, let's say for receiving all those 911 calls, like is there any other software that actually receives all these alerts, and then maybe you have a single dashboard wherein you view, okay, this is an alert. Now I will determine my drone to send to this. Like, is there a particular software as well for this, for all
Yeah,
the management?
we're using a software for emergency for those emergency calls, but I don't think I can provide the name. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. And talking about all the other assets, so many a times for all the public safety authorities, as you mentioned, you guys have like air ambulances. It could be some other, you can say, person with a transponder, like an emergency service person with a transponder. So, in order to ensure that all assets, be it drones, be it other assets that you have in your ecosystem, so do you have some like a common place wherein you can actually see if there is a situation that has happened, what all assets are actually deployed for it, or is it currently just visualized and you just know that okay, these all teams will be responding to such a situation?
Um, we basically know the location of all air ambulances
Hmm.
because they have to talk. We dispatch those units, so we know where they are. We can see their
Hmm.
location in our emergency call software, and
Okay.
other drones with other first responding units like police or whatever unit might have a drone in the air. We are talking to them via telephone. So
Mhm, mhm.
we are telling them when we fly a drone, and they tell us when they fly a drone.
That's
It's quite
quite
low
great.
tech. It's quite low tech.
Look, that's very important. I think having all those systems, firstly, of course, every police personnel, every safety authority does have these systems, but of course, bundling it together with the Dock drone ecosystem and using it to its max, I think this is where the whole game changer thing is at the present date. So, Daniel, I was just thinking, let's say you started this, you can say, drone as first responder program, wherein you deployed the dogs some months ago or a year ago. But let's say if you started tomorrow, what all things will be it that you will do differently, which would actually even optimize whatever observations or you can say learnings that you have had till now?
Learnings that we had quite a few. Um, right now, I wouldn't know who to talk to beforehand, um, obviously, because I've learned it the hard way. You have to be sure who you have to talk to, especially authorities like police, like airspace control, like German Deutsche Flugsicherung, it's called in Germany, like German airspace control, and the airport in Kiel, even if they are too far away, and talk to the to other authorities like just obviously the police, because for obvious reasons right now. There's a war raging right now. Um, People are quite scared of drones right now. So whenever we fly, like I said, we tell the police right now still via telephone we are flying, and they obviously always get calls because people see a drone fly, and anyone someone is always scared, and we have to if we don't tell the police where we are flying, they have to dispatch a unit, and we can lower those calls. And I think the police is kind of like the biggest not really problem, because they are on our side, but we have to talk to them, or you have to talk to them directly, and you have to tell them what you're doing, and you have to put them up and running from the start on.
I think, Daniel, you mentioned a very good point, the skepticism, because if there are a lot of different teams involved, especially firefighters, responders, dispatchers, emergency services teams, air ambulances, a lot of different subgroups involved in order to react to a situation. Of course, first of all, coordination is something which everyone will try to optimize. And the learnings that you have provided, especially how you told earlier, if there was a situation, it used to take a long time. Now that we are doing it quite slow. So that is how you are building trust amongst all of these different units.
Yeah,
Let's see, together we can better optimize how we even respond, and we are more vigilant towards all of this, you can say, cases. And of course, saving lives is the main goal, so indirectly
yeah,
you are saving lives through this whole optimization. So yep, I think that's quite interesting to even know, and this could be something which each of us could take up as a learning. And if we are implementing like a donors first responder program in his or her country, or as a solution provider making a proposal for a client, you can actually take all of these insights and write them down. So let's say, Daniel, today you would like to talk to the government of Germany and tell them that, see, this is how I have been doing. And as a thought leader, you would like to scale this across all the different, let's say, not for multiple use cases, but at least for the seashore. So, what would your advice be? Let's say, if we talk about it in general, let's not talk about Germany, but any, uh, you can say, city which would like to implement such a program. So, what advice you would give, like start today or something, if you can just play it around?
uh, that's quite difficult. Um, the first question or the first advice would be sure you have to put up a lot more time than you expect. Like I said, I've been involved in the drone program since 2019. Okay, we started really slow and really small, but I think I I've the correct licenses for flying drones and so on and so forth, and I've done all that, but I've still used nearly 3 to 4 months to put up all the necessary documentation which is needed. So you really need more time than you expect till you can fly, because the regulations are so difficult, or difficult to navigate in Germany or Europe especially. And you have to be sure you want to do this, and you have to put up more pilots than you think. And you have to take your pilots all the way. It's and what I didn't expect at all, um, the pilots which we trained from zero to flying drones autonomously uh, were the better pilots than the pilots, or had less problems than the pilots who were flying drones in the free time for like 4 years. They had those pilots which were had like 100 hours of flight time. They had the biggest problems adapting to this to flying in front of a computer.
Mhm. No, I think training, of course, is very important in this phase. And like as you mentioned, starting in from the year 2019, wherein you did all the certifications, and then you are currently leading a whole team under you in order to ensure that they are also trained on to use like a software, because earlier, of course, they may have used drones just trying using the RC, so it could
Yeah.
be quite difficult. So how do you actually ensure that all of your operators are also trained? Like this could be one of our last questions. We're actually near the end of the time, but if you can just help us with it, like how do you and provide all of your operators are completely vigilant, they know all the different functionalities,
Um,
coordination, etc.
we first of all ask all our pilots to have the corresponding certificates. So everyone has to have the A2 certificate in Europe. It is, I think. We could say, as because we are fire department, we don't want that, but I've said, okay, I want all my pilots to have this. And then we basically teach them how to use the software using FlytBase. We teach them how to use the software, and we ask them to have like 5 to 10 hours of flight time just using the software during daytime. Just fly around a small area around where the dock is, not across the city. And then when they say, okay, I'm ready, I've my 5 hours of flight time, I would just we would just check them, check how they fly, how they manage everything, and then we say okay, you are ready to fly, and we give them the good to fly basically, and we don't have any badge for that or something like that, and then we ask them to prove that they fly like I think it's what did we say, like I think 4 to 5 flights every 3 months. Shows just that they stay in touch with the tech with the software and know what they're doing.
Well, that's quite important, of course, ensuring all of your team members are completely aware of all the different subsystems
Yeah.
that they are using. And of course, it's quite important in that case wherein they are responding as well whenever these systems actually need to work. So, this could be my last question. I'm so sorry. So, taking in, let's say, what is your vision wherein you think as BF Coil currently using dock drones for saving life across the Baltic Sea, starting from there, expanding it to the fire services and the you can say the cross section, you can say visibility that you mentioned, situational awareness, so as to prevent accidents. In general, if I ask you what is your vision for the next year and for the coming years that you foresee, like this is how I think we could revolutionize the whole, you can say, drone as first responder program or in general public safety. So if you can give a gist about it.
Um, well, I would call it vision. My plan is basically to be able to fly 24/7 if the weather permits. I think that's the biggest problem in Germany. Um, Basically, yeah, fly 24/7, have enough pilots, and be able to respond to any call which might need a drone. At least in the city, maybe in the vicinity around it, and maybe at a few more beaches. I don't think we can give all the Baltic Sea coast enough drones. Using DJI Dock drones, that would be, I don't know, maybe like 200 docks or something like that. And it would be a bit too much. But maybe at the bigger beaches or something like that.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for helping me with that answer. So I think we have come up to the point wherein if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A tab. And we'd really love to answer some of your questions out. Of course, it's quite interesting how PF Kyle started and exactly be it like a solution provider or if you are from, let's say, a public safety authority, please feel free to drop in your questions. We have another 10 minutes in order to answer your questions out. So, meanwhile, Daniel, people might drop down their questions. I would actually like to also tell how currently FlightBase enables such programs wherein if there's any public safety authority or if you're a solution provider, they're giving a demo to your client. What does it enable you to? So, FlightBase usually helps you with all of the you can say, interoperability between your different assets and your subsystems, be it like a different software, let's say that you are using for public safety, wherein you get all of your alerts, as Daniel mentioned, getting those alerts on your human machine interface is, of course, very important so that you can be aware that, okay, there is an incident. Getting all the airspace data from the UTM, from the detect and avoid sensor, having necessary flight control, you can say measures for flight safety, data security. So it's a single stop solution which enables you, to bundle everything together. And of course, with such a tool and with the other assets and the tools that you have, you can bundle everything and give your best for ensuring you're launching your own drone as first responder public safety program. So yeah, I think we have a question. How did you decide what integrations need to be done for this ops? Daniel, if you would like to take it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood it correctly, but I will try. Um, We figured it out on the fly. Basically, we knew, okay, we have to have some airspace awareness. That was easy, but we figured it out on the fly which integrations we needed, because well, we learned the software from scratch. We didn't know we didn't know everything from the beginning. So we started flying, and then we figured out, okay, we might need a go-to location from our emergency call software, because finding the location itself might be difficult, and we want to respond faster. And like I said, basically it was done on the fly, and we are still in the developing process of going further. Like, how do we talk to the police? Can we get any easier solution than calling them, for example? And it's still, like I said, it's basically a development process, and any pilot can say, okay, I might need any further information, any further integration, or I have this idea, can we integrate it? And FlytBase is really helping us try integrating further.
Thank you so much, Daniel, on answering that. I think there's another question. Can you elaborate on how you handle the BV loss approvals during this whole process?
Basically, in Germany, if you are a fire service or emergency service, you have quite a few approvals you automatically get because you're a fire service. You can basically, like, ignore is the wrong word for it, but you can basically say, okay, I can approve it myself, and I can try to, or I will work according to the law. So basically, you can say, okay, I'm a fire service, I want to do this, and you are more or less free to fly, regardless of what the law says. You have to be more careful when you're near to an airport or something like that. But we don't have a really big airport in Kiel, so we are fine there, and we still work on getting those BVLOS approvals like any other company would. We still get those, or got those. Yeah.
That's again very important, wherein, of course, as a public safety authority, uh, in any country, there might be certain rules that are laid off because, of course, public safety is something which is very important. So they may use other airspace tools as well, not just drones, it could be helicopters. So there are some, you can say, people are, of course, flexibility in order to even use such solutions. So this could be a very good added point for any public safety authority to take it up with your civil aviation authority if you'd like to discuss. So yeah, I think we have another question. Is there any measure you are taking in terms of data security? Because it's all personal information that, let's say, the human machine interface, or in this case, FlightBase, it's collecting.
Well, we put up, or we are putting we put our operations on the European Union servers of FlightBase. So we are working according to what's, I think it's GDPR in English.
Correct.
And we don't take any videos while we are flying to an incident site. If we are at an incident site, we might take a few pictures, but we download them immediately after the flight and store them only on local servers if we store any pictures at all. We normally don't store any pictures, maybe just for documentation, but we store them on local servers.
Mhm. I think, Daniel, I had one question. Currently, are you passing over these video streams to like a command and control center of some other body? Uh, because you are performing flights and you are not recording any media. So are you sending them like some kind of link so that they can view the streams along with the other streams that are there?
Yeah, we're sending the stream to our basically to our responding units. So the commanding officers and the battalion chiefs, basically, I think they are called in English, they can see the stream from the drone, but they are the only ones. And like I said, there's no recording.
Mhm. Mhm. We have a question from Georgios, which is how can the responders on the boat detect the exact location of the drone when it is positioned 2 kilometers or more offshore?
Um, we have the drone itself says where it is, like geo coordinates, and the responders on the drone have a GPS as well, so they can see, okay, like how are the geo coordinates, and they can go to those coordinates from the drone.
So just for answering Georgios, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. So usually whenever there's a caller who provides like an information, so first of all, from the caller, you can also get, like as Daniel was mentioning, the lat long, if there is some middleware that is set up, and those can actually be sent to the human machine interface for responding to that incident at the exact right, you can say, position. I think there's another question, which is, what's your vision on AI? Are you going to use AI in the future? And if yes, what all different sorts of AI do you think could be beneficial for your operations?
Well, that's a difficult question for 5 minutes. We could probably talk about that for like 2 hours. But I think AI might help us, definitely. We are not sure how to implement it because we got the AI Act in the European Union, and there are quite a few hurdles handling that. But we are still, like I said, we are trying to figure out how we can use AI for detection of maybe persons in the water, just that the AI can scan like the normal or a thermal video and say, okay, there is something like which resembles a body, and alert the pilot to this because the pilot might overlook it, basically,
Mhm.
especially when flying at 100 meters or so. And the further vision would be to get the AI to detect fires. So basically, flying in the direction of a call, there is a fire or even smoke columns. There is a fire, and the AI can say, okay, I can definitely detect a fire, or I can detect a smoke column, and it's not a smoke column from a chimney. Like I said, we're at 3 degrees Celsius right now. Um, Everyone has the heating on, and every chimney is pouring out a bit of smoke. We don't want those smoke columns to be detected. We want the smoke column of a fire to be detected. Um, that will be difficult, I think.
Quite insightful, Daniel, on that point. Of course, AI is currently on a, you can say, steep path wherein, with the help of generative AI, a lot more functionalities would get unlocked. With the help of Dock drones serving as your data capture layer, you will be able to do even more. So there's a question from Tine Ningal, which is, can the drone pilot share the live view from the drone with the control room to display on a big screen for them to view and make decision? So just for answering it out, yes, you have two options in order to share the links. One is basically you can share like a guest share feed that you can open up on your command and control room, which gives you the visibility on the map as well as the drone video feed. And the second option is to actually share them like RTSP streaming links, which they can ingest into their video management system. Of course, the third option is you give them access to the whole dashboard that they can open up. So all in all, they, and usually people do the second way, wherein they use the RTSP streaming link, ingest it into some kind of video management system, Milestone, Genetec, Tahua, Avijone, the name just goes on. So you can ingest in any of these things and you can have the visibility into your control room. If you would like to add, Daniel, anything on it, if you have
Yes.
certain insights.
Like you said, Rowan, it's a yes and no question. Of course, the pilot can share, but we have chosen that we don't
Mhm.
want the video stream to be shared in the command and control room, because we don't want all emergency call dispatchers to be distracted from that. So we made the decision, like I said, we made the decision to not share it at all. We could if we wanted, but we don't want it to be shared. We can, as the rooms where the pilots stay sits and the command and control room are more or less next to each other. The commanding officer of the command and control center will go to the pilot and look at the screen and then make a decision, but not share it with a command and control room, like I said.
Perfect. I think with that, we have come up to the end of the time. So I would just like to sum it up. So thank you so much, guys, for first of all being like a patient audience and ensuring that you were sending us quite insightful questions in order to even discuss. And thank you so much, Daniel, in order to help us with your insights on how can any public safety authority first of all go through the whole process. You shared your whole journey, how you started, what was the difference between the traditional mode and the current, you can say, modes of how you are using the dock drones, and your vision. And indeed, this is something which each public safety authority should take into consideration. And you can actually use the learnings that we did today with our interaction with Daniel, and you can incorporate such a thing into your own country as well. And just for everyone's reference, we do have a hyperlink that would be visible under the video feeds of us that would say Public Safety Handbook. So FlightBase has curated a dedicated public safety handbook, taking in our learnings from people like Daniel and other drone as first responder teams worldwide on how can you ensure, like exactly some of the questions said, secure deployments. All of the data is quite, you can say, sophisticated, interoperability with multiple systems, asset management, fleet management, etc. So all those things, integrations, all of your questions would get answered in it. And feel free to also reach out to us. You can check out our website and fill out the contact form if you'd like to know more details. And yep, thank you so much again, Daniel, for your patient hearing.
Thank you for
Do
your
you
time.
have any closing thoughts that you would like to share as well?
No, just thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your patient hearing as well, team
Of course.
members and also Daniel. So, yep, we usually bring this insightful sessions every week. So please stay tuned. And yep, thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks. Have
Cheers.
a
Bye
great evening, whatever.
bye. Yeah, morning, evening, and afternoon for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Bye bye.